And we welcome you to another edition of This Is Wrestling. It is Lee Versage alongside the one and only Hornsey. Zach McGibbon getting together to review AEW WrestleDream. How are you, Hornsey?
I'm doing pretty good, Lee. I'm a little tired. It was a busy weekend this past weekend. A lot of hockey on the docket for me. I had a Golden Hawks game. I traveled down to help out with the Frontenacs. I went to the home opener for the Belleville Senators, and then I filled in on the Wellington Dukes broadcast as well. So there was a lot of hockey over the weekend. So I'm glad to change things up and talk about some professional wrestling here today.
Well, I was just going to talk about how great the Cowboys and the Blue Jays are.
Yeah, how about that? Especially the Blue Jays right now.
Well, that was quite dramatic what George Springer did in the seventh inning. And the Blue Jays off to the World Series. So I am super pumped about that. Are you super pumped about WrestleDream? We are about to find out. Now, I don't know if I have watched an AEW card, Zach, on a pay-per-view that, for me, feels a little bit disconnected from how a lot of people seem to feel, but I'm excited to talk to you about this. So we'll start with how many things you got wrong on the pay-per-view, and geez, there's a lot to pick from.
I had the exact same picks as you, only the Jurassic Express and Young Bucks matches where we differ.
I seem to remember a conversation where I asked you what was going to main event, and there's old school Hornsey telling me the world title is gonna. I'm like, nope. So
yeah, well, I apparently I can't just hold them to a standard that they set anymore, and I got to change my own expectations.
No, okay. So let's get into this. What did you think about the decision to open the card with Jamie Hayter and Tekla, or Thekla? I call her Thekla, but they seem to call her kind of Tekla.
Yeah.
So the decision to open, the decision to continue on 0 Hour or the tailgate party into the pay-per-view so the FTR could actually get a paycheck from a real pay-per-view. And then their match with Jet Speed carries over into the show. Let's start with that.
Sure.
What did you think of how long some of the matches were on 0 Hour, and one of them continuing across into the main show? Do you think that's a good decision?
I really like this. I thought that was something different. It's something I had been begging for right now in wrestling. It's something different that could get my attention, and it certainly got my attention. I will say this, Lee. I am somebody that is plopped down and sitting and watching the 0 Hour show, as you know, or I guess in this case, the Tailgate Brawl. But because of the weekend, I had to skip the Tailgate Brawl. Unfortunately, had to skip it. Not because I wanted to, but because it's like, the timing works out where I saw the run times like, 4.5 hours. We got to get through this show. Yep. So I went right to the opening show match on the show. And to my surprise, seeing the pyro go off and seeing FTR and Jet Speed face off against each other right off the top, I thought was such a good jolt of energy to start off the show for me. And they, peaked it at a perfect time in terms of having the big spots, the match to start off and get people invested in. Again, it's something different. It reminded me a lot of what would happen on Nitro back in the day where, they would go to the second hour and they would have the pyro go off in the second hour. So this is what it kind of reminded me of. I really liked it. It was something different. It got me into the show. I will take this as opposed to waiting 15 to 20 minutes, getting through a Triple H opening monologue, and then waiting for, 10 minutes for the entrances so that we can finally get into the professional wrestling match. This is something different that kind of makes the company different from everybody else. So I love this. I really liked how they introed this show.
So they did have 4 matches on, I'm going to call it 0 Hour because that's what it was always called. If they're going to continue to call it the Tailgate Brawl show after show after show, then fine. But 4 matches, and 3 of them were over 13 minutes.
Yep.
it felt like this was just a part of the show. So I found that interesting. Like, that's a long time for matches that are supposed to be selling you on a pay-per-view. You're not doing a lot of packages. You're not doing a lot of hype for the show because you're featuring more wrestling on the show. That's a decision that AEW is making. So I'm a little bit lukewarm on that. Like, I don't like, if I'm trying to sell the show to people that have it's caught their eye, I don't know that 14 minutes of Megan Bain and Penelope Ford and um, the conglomeration, which, by the way, like, I just I don't understand some of this. Like, Death Riders and Conglomeration are on the pre-show, but Tekla and Jamie Hayter's on the pay-per-view,
Yeah.
or your boys that are going to try to not have anybody tell me that they hurt people today. But we'll see.
Yeah.
So there's just, it felt a little bit for me like some of the matches on the pre-show could have been on the main card, and then some of the matches on the main card should have been on the pre-show, or like a main event of Dynamite or something like that. Look, this was a card that, once again, for the second consecutive month, no Will Ospreay, no Kenny Omega, no Swerve Strickland, and this time, no MJF. So there are 4 of your absolute top stars that are not on this show. And when you're trying to feature it, what they did was almost say, well, we don't have our top 4 guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw almost everybody else out there at you. And we're going to give them time, and it's going to go long. Like, this was a long show. I guess maybe just before we get to the main matches, Zach, the mindset of Tony Khan going into a show where he doesn't have his top 4 guys, so he looks like he's throwing everything else that he possibly has out there.
And also trying to get some other people over, I think. Especially, and we'll talk about with some of the other matches on who specifically I think that this is an opportunity for, to try and make themselves stand out, while, as you mentioned, a lot of those guys are out of the picture. I'd also throw in Adam Copeland in there as well, who's not on the programming. So yeah,
you're gonna say Adam Cole. Oh my god,
not Adam Cole. No. I would have said that 4 years ago, but not this year. Yeah, I this is a chance for a lot of these guys and gals to really kind of step up here and seize the opportunity and realize that, hey, these guys are not here. A lot of these top guys are not here right now. This is an opportunity to show that I belong at the top of the food chain, and I could be somebody that can draw and or provide value onto the TV. And so I kind of like this in the sense that you get some opportunities for other guys to kind of showcase themselves. And I think what we got in this pay-per-view, I think there was some really good standout, I shouldn't say standout, but some really great performances here from a lot of talent on the roster. But I agree with you. It was kind of a test to see, we're going to throw a lot of people on the card, and we're going to see who is going to be the ones that are going to rise up to the occasion and who won't be.
So they start with Tekla and Jamie Hayter. What did you think of that decision?
Well, I like the way that they set it up. It was speaking to me. Like, they had the wife of Lou Thez at ringside, which
Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie Thez. I had no idea that somebody that was directly connected to Lou Thez would still be alive in 2025. And she was great too. Like, she was interacting with the crowd, and she clearly seemed like she was having a fun time there, but they kind of set the tone where it's like, all right. For me, it was like, oh, we're getting Lou Thez mentions here, St. Louis wrestling, let's go. And we're going to start off with a match that hasn't come in with a lot of heat, but I think those two could go out there and have a good match. It was Jamie Hayter and Tekla. So I was looking forward to it. I was thinking, okay, this is an interesting way to start off. And I think it's smart too, because, when you have a match like that coming off the heels of the FTR jet speed stuff, you got a crowd that's a little bit more amped up. I think this is a good match to kind of follow that. The The match itself, I enjoyed. I was hoping for a little bit more, but I think it just goes back to the problem, like you mentioned, where there just wasn't enough heat during the match. Thought the work itself was solid, but the way that they kind of built up this program, you were kind of hoping for a little bit more in terms of heat, and it really didn't have that. It was just kind of a solid enough professional wrestling match, but I like what you said. I think this was something that could have been on the pre-show as opposed to this main card.
Yeah, I get the feeling they wanted to feature both of these women, and I still don't agree with the decision to have Jamie Hayter go over Tekla after the work they've done to build Tekla up. I don't understand. I watched. It was good. And for me, not to spoil other matches, because there was some good, there was some bad, but for the most part, this card was exactly what you said. Good, but I was wanting a little bit more. And that's how I felt in a lot of matches. I felt like that in this one. It wasn't that Jamie Hayter won. It was just, it went on a little too long. And I didn't think that the difference between being mid-card and main event to me is when you are given more time to work with, do you have big lulls in your match? And you can tell when somebody's given a 15, a 20, a 25-minute match if they're not used to it and there's big lulls in the match. There was a couple of lulls in this one for me, but it was solid and it was good. I think those two are going to continue to hopefully be part of a reworked women's division where you have some legitimate challengers to the top people. I don't think they should have. Everybody is banned from ringside, and then Tekla can't win her first really big match on her own after you've built her up. It makes her seem weak to me. And Jamie Hayter's good. Are they going to elevate Jamie Hayter? I don't know. And put her in the very top? Hopefully they do. I'm not sure they're going to. So I was a little bit disappointed just on the outcome and the way that they wanted to go forward with this, but it was good. This match,
yep.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, the work was solid. It's just, again, like, I think if this could have contributed with a little bit more heat and a little bit more more crowd interaction and investment, because otherwise I think that's what we got here. Just an all right match, pretty solid match.
All right, match number 2, $500,000. You're gonna have to tell me how you did after this one, what your record was, because we both lost the first one. Your boy Jack Perry,
yeah,
Luchasaurus against the Young Bucks for $500,000. I'll let you let us know who won.
Yep.
But I will tell you that it's another match for me where I look at the Young Bucks and go, man, they're really good at getting other people over and making a good match either a great or a really, really, really good match. They just have the ability to get other people to different levels, and that's why they are the best tag team in the world still. I thought this was really good. I enjoyed it. I'm not sure that Luchasaurus and Jack Perry could go out there and do that with another team, which would worry me. But I like the work in this one a lot. I like the storyline they told. There's some great spots in this match. And I was a big fan of the match between the Young Bucks and Luchasaurus and Jack Perry. But who won, Zach?
Well, Lee, the winners of this match were Jurassic Express, Jack Perry, and Luchasaurus. They won the $500,000. I was sitting here thinking, what is Luchasaurus going to do with $500,000? Because he's a dinosaur.
$250 for him.
Well, yes, but even then, $250,000. What's he going to do? He's a dinosaur. Like, right? What's he going to purchase? What sort of thing would a dinosaur want? It was on my mind when he won the half of the $500,000, I guess. And in the case of Jack Perry, I mean, he continues to be the thorn in my side. I'm not saying he's correctly, but I understand CM Punk a little bit more every time Jack Perry goes out there and wins his matches. But yeah,
which means what? Well, hold on. Which means what?
I'm just talking about, Brawl Out and all that stuff. I'm not saying he
Yeah,
was
but what
correct
do
in
you
that,
mean?
but
But what?
it's just, it's just, seems to be just a thorn in my side and just continuing to be showcased on TV, doing stuff. And, you try to go in and settle down. It's like, maybe he's not the guy. And then things just kind of escalate from there,
I really have no idea what you're talking about. First of all, I know that you couldn't pick your nose with a snow shovel with Jack Perry.
Wow.
Like, it doesn't matter what Jack Perry's in, you get it wrong every time.
Yes.
And Jack Perry was good in this match.
The joke here, Lee, is that I am annoyed at Jack Perry the same way CM Punk was annoyed at Jack Perry, but for different reasons, obviously.
Because Jack Perry is a thorn in your side and occasionally shows he can really go.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is one, and again, I reiterate that I want to see them be, and by them I mean Luchasaurus and Jack Perry. I want to see them do this again without the Young Bucks, because I think the Young Bucks have this great ability to bring out the best in almost anybody that they wrestle. So
they're the best tag team in the. I think it's fair to say they're the best tag team that's gone through wrestling. Is that fair to say? I can't think of other tag teams in professional wrestling history, like you mentioned, that has been able to elevate their opponents the way that the Young Bucks have.
There's been bigger draws. Like, you go back, like we've had this discussion before. The Road Warriors would headline NWA shows that had Ric Flair on it.
Yep.
Because they were so over, it was crazy. And there's other tag teams that have been really, really over, but I don't know of another team. I think you'd probably have to go back to like maybe the Midnight Express of a team that were like really, really good, but made other people look so great. But the Young Bucks might be the best that's ever done it.
Yeah. The Young Bucks made Private Party after that win on the first Dynamite or whatever. So many people were like, oh, when are they going to push Private Party? Because of how good that match was. And they made people think that Private Party was going to be a top tag team. And you see how it is right now, right? Like,
yep.
I don't know how you could argue against with the Bucks. Like, in terms of drawing power, of course, there are teams that have drawn more than the Bucks, but in terms of overall contributions to the business and in-ring output, and you could even argue with the Bucks being part of the formation of the second biggest wrestling company ever behind WWE, and I'm including WCW in that, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to argue against them as saying that they aren't the greatest wrestling tag team of all time. So, and they just showed it again here. The gimmick can, I'm so done with the gimmick. The tender not accepted or whatever intro was reminding me of the Right to Censor intro music as it just kept repeating and repeating and repeating. It's like, I get the joke. You see, Lee, the joke is the Young Bucks have no money.
Right.
That's the joke. And they have been driving this joke into the ground for the last months. Oh, it's so funny, Lee, because they have no money. I don't care that they have no money. Like, why am I supposed to? So anyways, but once the bell actually rings and they go out there and wrestle, it's like, oh my God, I'm watching one of, if not the greatest tag team to ever step into the ring. So.
All right. So they win. And then right on to one of the other great teams, the Demand and the Hurt Syndicate. It's a tornado trios match to determine the number one contender. Because, by the way, we have 3 trios teams in our whole company.
Yeah.
So if a trios group are the champions, the other 2 are going to fight for the number one contenders. And I didn't even know that this match was a number one contenders match, not thinking that there are many other trio teams out there.
Yes.
However, Hurt Syndicate and the demand. Zach, just the floor is yours. Okay.
Well,
Make it quick. Make it quick.
I'll do my best.
Please make it quick.
I'm gonna respond by asking you a question, Lee. When did this become a number one contendership match? Because I swear this didn't happen on Dynamite when they announced this match. I felt like it was late in the game. Okay. It always seems to be late in the game with the Hurt Syndicate.
I found out actually when the match was going on.
Yeah.
That's when I found out.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean it didn't happen before and that it just went past me, but I did not know this as the match started. I'm like, what? Oh, okay. Number one contenders match of the Trios Championship.
And lo and behold, Lee, the Hurt Syndicate win in that. Oh,
no.
What a shock. I mean, why do they continue with this? Everything is so weird with the Hurt Syndicate. And yet they're so committed to having these guys featured on TV. They always do these weird things and they never deny a lot of the weird things that are happening. It's just, especially one guy in the Hurt Syndicate doesn't say anything. We don't hear anything from one guy in the Hurt Syndicate. And so, what a shock. After the number one contendership, now they are the number one contenders. And so, yeah, I mean, this is a match. I was there. I know you had kind of stepped out of the last show at All Outs when these two teams faced off against each other, but I was there. I was chanting "We Hurt People," and I was bopping along, you know. And that match was fine, and this match was also in that same realm. It was fine. I didn't have too much to take away from it other than they hurt people.
Once again, this is another match that should not have been on the main card.
Yeah. Would have been totally okay if this was on the pre-show. But I don't know, maybe Hurt Syndicate found a way to get themselves on the main card. I mean, they seem to find a way to finagle things to their benefit. I just don't know. I don't understand how they're able to just kind of finagle their way. Even in the mid card, they're finding a way to finagle themselves into better positions. I don't understand it. Well, I shouldn't say they. Specifically, one guy is able to finagle his way.
Yeah, just say it, Bobby
Lashley.
Lashley.
Yeah, finding a way.
So the good news is once this match ended, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe came out, and all was right in the world.
Yes.
For the TNT Championship, Mark Briscoe continues to be a guy that I don't know if I have seen what I would call a tweener like him in a long time. And what I mean by that is that he's pretty much a jobber that puts other guys over and does it very, very well. But then all of a sudden at a pay-per-view, he gets a win over MJF. And he's had a couple of big wins. You never really expect him to win the big one. But then he just goes out and kills it. And so the only thing wrong, because this for me, I guess I hoped there would be another match or two that would be as good or better than this one, because I had hopes for other ones. There's one match that we'll talk about in a bit that was a contender to be better than this one. But I guess my issue with this match, and yes, people are like, you have an issue with this one? My only issue with the match is that Kyle Fletcher looks like the next big star. And then you had a main event the last show. Why is he defending his TNT championship smack dab in the middle of this show when he is going to be, with all four guys out, he's one of your biggest stars now? Why is he smack dab in the middle? I would have had this either opening or right near the top because of its importance. I just wouldn't have had it in this spot. But my God, these guys, Briscoe can just do so many great things, and Kyle Fletcher was unbelievable. This is an unbelievable match that Kyle Fletcher won. Just looking at the runtime, Zach, yeah, it was almost 25 minutes, 24:45.
Yeah.
And This is what I mean when I say that stars, when they are given the time to work, you know that they're main eventers when there's not big lulls. There was no lulls in this match. It was 25 minutes long, 0 lulls.
Yeah. I was stunned when I went through the run sheet and I saw that it was near 25 minutes. It didn't feel like that in a good way. Yeah, this was a tremendous match. Playing off of their previous match at Dynasty earlier this year, it's like we were both saying at the times, like this might have been the best match of that show, and this might have been the case here as well. I really enjoyed this match. These two have some really good chemistry, and it's interesting what you mentioned with Mark Briscoe. I think I know you said jobber. I think more jobber to the stars is the better way to put it. Where he's always going to be a guy that's featured.
Yeah.
But he's always going to lose to the bigger stars on the card in AEW.
Yeah.
And so I do kind of hope sometimes, because I feel like he is over and the crowd likes him, and people love the promos, people love his wrestling. He's had really good matches. I kind of, in some instances, hope that they find a way to elevate him a little bit more instead of just having him placed in this role of being the guy that puts over the bigger stars. But having said that, what he's been able to do here with Fletcher, I think is something that's been really, really good. And again, this was a tremendous match. Fletcher looked fantastic. I thought that Brainbuster sell by Briscoe was fantastic too.
Yeah.
Just a tremendous match. I really, really enjoyed this.
The Brainbuster and the Brainbuster cell was awesome.
Yes, so good.
It's what we all, I think, like about professional wrestling when it's done really, really well. So that's the thing with Kyle Fletcher. He's backing up everything he's saying about being the next guy. Because every time he goes out there, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right. Chris Statlander, Tony Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship. Eager to hear what you thought about this.
I don't want to say it was the worst match on the show, but it was definitely the biggest disappointment for me on this show. I was hoping for a little bit more from this. And I've said before, I'm not going to relitigate it in terms of my thoughts of the Tony Storm character, but in terms of her in-ring, she has always been somebody that is delivered whenever you go to the bell to bell. And Statlander is always somebody I liked and was hoping that they would find a way to kind of elevate her. And now she's got the opportunity here with the women's title. And they did the right thing in terms of Statlander beating Tony Storm clean and putting her over.
Yeah.
But the match itself, and it kind of goes back to what happened with Jamie Hayter and Tekla, is that not as much heat as you were hoping for in this. And I thought for sure this one would have a lot more heat because of the people in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
But this didn't really have it. There was a lot of moments in this match where it was kind of silence. And this was not exactly a dead crowd throughout the evening either. This was a pretty hot crowd for a lot of the matches. So, again, this was a match that I didn't think was a bad match at all. In fact, a lot of the work was pretty solid, but the heat in this was just lacking, and I think it just affected my enjoyment of the match. And this came away as a disappointment for me. And there was a spot afterwards that kind of transitions into the next match after Statlander wins that I didn't really like how they played it off, even though I knew what they were trying to go for. But so that's kind of my tease for the next match.
So this one is even a little bit more for me because you're right. Mercedes Moné comes out after she wins and comes down, and she's got the frat house and all the belts, and she basically tells Chris Statlander to get out of the ring, and Statlander does.
Yeah, did not like that.
I hated it.
Yeah.
Like when it happened, I'm like, oh my God. She just beat Tony Storm. She's the women's world champion, and she looks so weak.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have some overall thoughts. So the next match with, I was a little bit disappointed that it's Mina Shirakawa because it was going to be belt for belt.
Yeah.
And I just found that a disappointment as she came out. And she's not bad, but they've just done this match. I don't really know what, like, is there a more juxtaposed championship than the Ring of Honor television champion? when Ring of Honor really isn't on television.
Even better, the interim women's
Yeah.
world television champion.
So this one makes not a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Plus, when we were watching, this is the match that had the big. A lot of people had problems in watching this. We did. It kept repeating over and over and over again in the middle of the match.
Yes. Okay, it wasn't just me that I was gonna ask because because I watched this after it was live, and so I watched it pre-tape, but there was a moment where it just went dark. And
Well, lucky you, because we saw the same 30 seconds like 10 straight times.
oh jeez. Yeah,
And
it
you're
just
trying to-
went straight up dark for me. I was like, oh. And I
Yeah,
thought
but
maybe my
that's-
stream went down, and then I looked, it's like, oh
No.
no, this is part of the recording. Oh, this is not good.
That's a lot better than what we got.
Oh boy.
Because we just kept watching the same thing over and over and over again. And to the point where you're watching it with AEW superfan Ben Soublier, and he ended up having to, like, we purchased the show, and
Yep.
he ended up having to cast it off of his phone
Oh really?
onto the TV afterwards, and we missed the end. So we had to find out sort of online that, well, I knew Mercedes when Mina Shirakawa came in, I'm like, there's no way she's losing.
Yeah. Were you doing the dance, Lee, when Mira Shirakawa was coming out?
No.
No?
I wasn't. And I want to have a quick discussion on, so then Mercedes Moné goes and beats Jody Threat in Winnipeg, and now she's got 12 belts.
Yep.
So I understand, and maybe this is for a different show, and we can elongate on a like the next show, but I just don't. I haven't quite grasped this. So she's now got all the belts, and I get it from like the independent shows, like if even in C4 and she's in Winnipeg and all these like Poland and Austria. I understand it from their perspective, but I don't quite understand it from the AEW perspective. But we can have a conversation about that. But then we also missed, and I was so sour about how weak Chris Statlander looked, but we missed her coming back into the ring after.
Yeah.
So we never saw that. And then we had to look up, oh, okay, well, she's not as weak now because she came back and did something about it. So maybe just your thoughts on not the Mina Shirakawa match, but kind of what they're doing with Mercedes Moné. And now Mercedes is challenging Chris Statlander coming up at the next show for the AEW Women's World Championship.
Yeah, interesting how they're kind of playing this out. Ultimone is what I'm going to be calling her from here on out, as she's been calling herself Ultimo in reference to Ultimo Dragon and the multiple belts that he won in the 90s. I like me a belt collector gimmick. I like that it kind of connects the world of wrestling together. Having said that, though, like you have to have some pretty impressive belts if you're going to do a belt collector gimmick. The ROH Interim Women's World Television Championship belt is not exactly one that strikes me as, oh, this is a world traveling champion that's going to all these different promotions and winning their belts and doing a belt collector deal. So I don't mind her doing the belt collector stuff. In fact, I think it's helped her in terms of making her stand out. And if the storyline could be, oh, she's got all these belts, but she doesn't have the penultimate belt, she doesn't have the Women's World Championship belt, I think there's a great story there that you could dive into and really delve into. And they were kind of touching upon it when Toni Storm was champion and they had the match there. But in this case, you got to have some quality belts in there. And I don't think the ROH Interim Women's World Television Championship belt does that for me. And the match itself was it was nothing to really write home about either. So.
Okay, I think we should have a longer discussion on that on the next show.
All right.
But we get the tag team titles on the line. Brodito going up against Kazuchika Okada and Konosuke Takeshita for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. You and I both got this one wrong. if Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe was not the match of the night, this was.
Yeah.
27-25, incredible theater, 4 guys that can really go. I have a very, very nitpicky thing at the end, but this match was just for really, really. They just used Brody King very well in spots like this. And there's a reason why Takeshita is the IWGP champion. I mean, this was just an incredible match. This is one match that I would tell people, hey, you didn't see WrestleDream? Go back and watch. This would probably be the one over Jurassic Express, not by much of a tag team. And then the problem with Fletcher and Briscoe is that there is a possibility that their last match was even better than the one they had, which doesn't take away from how good this one was. It would just be, hey, I can let you go watch a Fletcher Briscoe match from like 6 weeks ago, and then you can watch Brodito and Okada and Takeshita on this show. But it's probably a pick'em. This was an incredible match, and with a little bit of surprise that Brodito does retain the tag team championships, and Okada gets pinned. What did you think?
Yeah, that result surprised me. I did not think that they were going to have Okada pinned here. And it's a great endorsement for Brodito as well. So, like you, I really like this match. This is probably my match of the night, slightly edging the Fletcher and Briscoe match for me. And yeah, these two just went out there and just had a killer match. And the more I see Brody King out there, the more I just absolutely love him as a professional wrestler. Just this big brawling type. He knows who he is, and he wrestles to his strengths, and he's got a great compliment with Bandito as his tag team partner. And you know, the more I see Brody King, the more I'm like, man, they should go all the way with this guy and see what they've got with Brody King. I'm pretty high up on him. And yeah, the Bandito specifically getting the pinfall victory over Okada, I think was interesting too. That he was the one that got the pinfall victory. And yeah, this was great. I really enjoyed this. Retaining the tag team belts, really great stuff. Like what you said, a lot of people should go and see this match. This is probably my match of the night, just slightly edging the Fletcher Briscoe match.
What'd you think of the decision for Okada to get pinned? Because you and I both thought they would win the championships and still have dissension. Now they've lost the big match and will have some dissension for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Okada is taking on Bandito on Dynamite Wednesday,
yes,
right? So
that's correct.
I believe that kind of plays into a factor of that, where Okada will likely get his win back on that show, and then it just continue to play up the Takeshita stuff. Or they could go with the angle of Bandito pins Okada again, whether it be through Takeshita interference, accidental interference, or something like that. That's an interesting angle that they could go down. You also have
that one, and pardon the interruption, but that one would be, I would only see that scenario playing out if you're going to do something with Bandito and Okada in the Continental Classic.
Yeah, and kind of bring that as a callback or whatnot. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look at that, and you also have the promotional aspect of it where Takeshita is, as you mentioned, is the IWGP champion. I doubt that New Japan wants to see their guy get pinned on TV. So it kind of leaves Okada as the one that has to take the pins. So very interesting dynamic. And I'm glad that they did something bold here and have Brodito win and have Bandito get the pin.
Yep.
They kind of need some more bold moves in AEW. They've kind of been playing it safe the last couple of weeks on TV. And I think that's where the lack of energy has kind of come in, where it's like, I'm not necessarily watching something bad on the show. It just doesn't hit the peaks that you would kind of hope for with a show like Dynamite. And I think it just goes back to making some more bolder decisions, saying, hey, we're going to go with the guy here, or we're going to make a statement here. And I liked it in this sense. It's like, all right, we're making a statement here. We're going to try and get you invested in what's going on, because now Okada is lost. What's next? That's how we're going to try and hook you in for Dynamite this week.
Yeah, I just think it's an interesting dynamic. The only thing I didn't like about it, Zach, was I totally understand the sell of the shoulder, whether the shoulder is actually hurt or not. What I don't like is if you're going to pin Kazuchika Okada, his 21 plex, I guess because of his hurt shoulder, but was not executed very well, or he's selling great that he can't do it because of his shoulder. Either way, Kazuchika Okada should not be pinned after taking that.
Mhm.
So that's the only thing I didn't like. But everything else, as you said, love the decision, even though we were wrong. And it was just a fantastic display of professional wrestling again. So what will the dissension do now in the Don Callis family? We'll see. I was hoping that Hangman Page would take personally that he wasn't main eventing, because I knew he wasn't going to. You didn't, but I did. And Samoa Joe, I thought, getting his last shot. I thought they'd kind of take it personally. This was as run-of-the-mill of a championship match with I don't even know what to call it. This is where Hangman Page is really good. I always enjoy watching him wrestle. I love Joe as a character. I thought they were going to be better than this. And then the turn of Samoa Joe and the Ops at the end of the show, it's hard not to compare this turn to the one that we talked about last week with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. It's hard not to compare it because it's a big turn on your world champion. That one, Seth Rollins. And yeah, he got stripped of it because he had surgery, but that one on Seth Rollins, world champion. This one on Hangman Page, world champion. One had an impact and one, to me, absolutely did not. There was a lot of this match, Hangman and Joe, that I did not understand. It just never got to the level that I wanted it to get to. And for the apologists that will say, well, Joe's older and he's getting, like, I don't care. Then don't put him in the match.
Yep.
And I thought Hangman could get him there anyway. And then the turn of the Ops was so blah for me. Like, I don't care. And now, what are we getting? Another Hangman Joe match?
That's what it seems like.
At a pay-per-view? Really? After that display? Again, maybe I'm carving it too much. It wasn't horrible. It's just there are expectations to be the world heavyweight champion in a world heavyweight championship match. And yeah, they didn't go on last, which I thought would have given them even more incentive. And they almost played right into it where it was just okay. And then there was a just okay turn afterwards. I don't know. This one for me was hard to stomach because there wasn't a lot, Zach, that I loved about this. And I wanted to. I thought this would be the match of the night. And I was not correct.
I think I'm a little higher on this than you are, but I agree with a lot of the general points you make in the sense that I was hoping for a little bit more on this. And this kind of felt like, to me, you could do this on a Dynamite main event with this match and the heel turn and everything. If you place this on a Dynamite, I think you would come out of that Dynamite saying, hey, that was something big happened on this Dynamite, and you would be happy with it. But with the standard that's been set with AEW pay-per-views, you expect a lot more when it comes to title matches in AEW and matches in general in AEW. So I'm a little bit higher on it, but not that much higher. I liked elements of this, and I know what they were trying to go for. Joe kind of dominated a lot of the match, and then obviously the heel turn afterwards, kind of setting it up. A lot of this kind of felt like it was setting up for that next match, as you mentioned. So I'm not as down in terms of them having a second match, because now they're kind of fully embracing a Samoa Joe heel run, which I think will be good for him. The heel turn itself, I think, could have been a little bit better executed as well, but I think there is some potential here, and that's where I'm kind of a little bit higher on it, but I don't disagree with a lot of what you said in the sense that this was something that I don't think you could really do on a pay-per-view. I think you could have pulled this off much better on a Dynamite. And I think that's where the disappointment comes in.
I'm going to leave this wide open. What did you think of the main event? I Quit match, Darby Allin and Jon Moxley.
A lot of heat. I liked it. I liked the match. I thought they were going to do more in terms of the violence, if I'm being honest. And I'm saying this when this match had a spot where an aquarium was brought out and they dumped water into the aquarium and tried to drown a man on pay-per-view. And also a spot where, the Molotov cocktail was kind of brought back in, lighting a guy on fire, which is kind of the new AEW obsession right now, lighting people on fire. Kane would do well in this company right now if he wanted to show up. But I thought it'd be a little bit more violent, but I still liked it because, I thought this wasn't going to main event only because just with tradition and, we had a member of the Thez family at the show, and it's in St. Louis and all this stuff.
So this is where you say tradition.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I will go back to you and ask you to name the last 3 main events at WrestleDream.
Oh man, it's tough to say off the top of my head. I guess what you're saying is that the title match didn't end the pay-per-view on those WrestleDream shows.
That's correct. Darby Allin, Christian Cage.
Oh, right. That was the show that Edge debuted on, Adam Copeland. I forgot about that.
In Seattle.
Yeah.
This one with Darby Allin and Jon Moxley.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember, and because I can't, I'm going to look it up. In 2024. What the main...
wait, Danielson and Moxley for the World Championship. So, unless there's a lights out match that I'm forgetting, but no, it was Moxley and Danielson for the World Championship.
Yeah, no, it was okay. So, but 2 of the 3. So this is where I'm having a hard time. And I'm just gonna. I want you to talk about the match as you said. With all the things that that didn't happen in this match. The Missouri Pro Wrestling Commission.
Yes.
They are, would you say, tighter than most?
Yeah, they're probably in the upper echelon of commissions that really kind of tighten it down. New York is another one I think of when it comes to commissions that are pretty tight. Maryland. So.
Now, one of the reasons that I saw that they tightened up even more is because of the Owen Hart death. But no blood, not allowed to blade, not allowed to do a whole lot of things. So then my question would be, why did they book an I Quit match that was promising to be the most violent match ever in the history of pro wrestling, pretty much? And then why would they book it in St. Louis?
Maybe thought they could finagle the commission, Lee. I'm not sure. Maybe they thought that they could negotiate something with the commission.
So what did you think of the match? Did it live up to your expectation?
Strangely enough, I was kind of hoping to be a little bit more violent. Maybe it's the sicko in me. But I'm also thinking of just the standards that kind of been set with the previous matches of these two. And even then, we still got a lot of spots that were, like, as mentioned, the drowning spot, which I can't believe I'm saying out loud. And the at the spot where Claudio just tossed Darby into the announce table, like it was Mike Awesome with Spike Dudley to the outside.
And then, go Bam Bam Bigelow, and Spike Dudley.
Oh, Bam Bam and Spike Dudley. There you go. I thought it was Mike Awesome.
No, Mike Awesome did it too.
Yeah.
I'm just saying Bam Bam did it before.
Okay, gotcha. Set the standard. I guess I'm just a big Mike Awesome guy, so I'd like to give him credit whenever it's due. But yeah, so you had that spot, and then yeah, I there were the violent elements. What was it called? The sticks there that went underneath the nails of Darby Allin was not exactly a fun spot to sit through.
Nope.
So there were certainly elements that were still violent, but I guess just the lack of blood made it more apparent that the commission kind of put a stamp down on this. So
Okay, so then what did you think of the ending? Because this was a match pretty much that John Moxley took it to Darby Allin for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Just did every single possible thing he could imagine to him, I guess within the Missouri rules. And then Darby Allin has Sting come in. What did you think of the Sting appearance?
I guess I should have expected it, but I didn't expect it.
Not even when the lights went out?
Well, when the lights went out, I figured, oh well, there's probably Sting's coming out. I was thinking generally of a general scene appearance. Once the lights went out, I was like, oh, Sting's coming here.
Right.
And Sting's got the giant goatee going now, and as a nice little moment, I guess. I shudder when I say that, but as a nice little moment, I guess it didn't bother me too much. I'm guessing you're asking me about Darby using the Scorpion Deathlock to get Moxley to say I quit.
I'm really lost on it because what I don't want to do, first of all, I don't on any show, AEW, WWE, I don't want to watch a show and have a huge build up and then have it end in a certain way where then I have to do either research or somebody's got to tell me why something happened because I didn't really get it on my own. I don't want that to happen after 4.5 hours. I didn't understand why Moxley gave up so quickly. After all the things that both of them have done to each other, I didn't understand it. Now, maybe you can explain it to me. Some people have said that the frustration was just so much after what Moxley did to Darby that he was basically giving up in frustration. Other people have explained it to me that with the aquarium breaking and the glass was there, that the glass was supposed to be more prevalent, but then there was water and the water was covering up the glass and they weren't quite getting the look that they were going for as Moxley is kind of swimming in the water and I guess there's glass there. But all I know is I kind of went, what? And my first instinct was, did they have to end the show at 12:30? After going this long, it felt like somebody told them they had 45 seconds to go. And then they just got to get it in. Okay, Scorpion Deathlock. Okay, it's over. Goodbye. But maybe you can explain it to me.
See, the way I took in the finish, and again, this might be just filling in some blanks in my head in terms of finishing what the finish was. The way that I took in the finish was you had the ending there where Darby did the coffin drop and he did a bunch of moves and then set up for the Scorpion Deathlock. And then you kind of look at everything. All of the Death Riders are gone. You have all the carnage in the ring. And Moxley's just kind of stuck nowhere to go. And it's like what you mentioned, you kind of touched on there, where he's just like, I'm screwed. I'm just going to call this I quit, like I can't last much longer this. I'm just going to quit. So that's the way it was explained, how I kind of took it in. Still something I could have.
But nothing happened to him for 20 minutes. He beat the piss out of Darby Allin for 20 minutes. It's not like he endured half an hour worth of stuff.
Well, could the argument be that he threw so much at Darby Allin that he still couldn't get him to say I quit, but as soon as he got him locked in, like he's like, I can't beat this guy. Like I'm not gonna endure what he just endured. Like
that's exactly
quit.
Okay. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So yes, he grew really frustrated, with everything he threw at Darby, and then Darby had him, and he's like, okay, like I'm just not gonna. But then I have to wrap my own head around that at the end of a show after the show ends after 4.5 hours. And it also feels like we're going to see something coming up on Dynamite in the next couple of weeks where Moxley probably just said, I quit because he didn't want to go through it then. And he's just going to take it more to Darby and try and get Darby to be a part of the Death Riders. And was like, this is just a lesson that I was teaching you. Like he's going to play it off like it wasn't that big of a deal that he did that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was left a little confused at the end. That's all. And this match, it was gory. It did have some spots, but it wasn't as gory as it could have been. And I just didn't think the match was as good as it could have been. I thought it could have had more heat, more drama, more psychological drama between the two. And having, after 4.5 hours, now I have to think about why Jon Moxley gave up so quickly. I don't really want to do that. So not my favorite match. Darby wins, but certainly isn't going to be the end of the feud. What do you think is the next match for these two? Because there's no way it's over after that.
Sorry, you're saying that it's no way it's over between these two and they're going to have another match?
Yeah. There's no way that Moxley just goes, I gave up in the sharpshooter. I guess I'm never wrestling Darby again. They're going to have another match.
See, I'm not sure about that. I couldn't tell you what the next direction would be other than maybe you would acknowledge it through promos or something like that, but like as a slow fizzling out of the program.
No, they're going to have another like lights out electrifying cage.
Exploding barbed wire.
Triple doom of power of doom.
Oh, yes, let's break that in from WCW.
Like, they're going to have something.
Yeah. Well, now that you've thrown in Tower of Doom, maybe that's something I got to see now is a Jon Moxley Darby Allin triple decker match.
What if they run monster trucks at each other on the top of the roof?
See, now we're cooking with gas lead over here. Really.
What if they do that?
Yeah, or what was the match that Dustin Rhodes got fired in WCW where they were fighting the back of the truck there?
The bunkhouse brawl.
Yeah, bunkhouse brawl. Like, how about that? Let's have them do a bunkhouse brawl. See what happens there. And then ironically, one of the guys gets fired because they bladed during the match.
Right.
But I'm trying to think of other match types now that we can sell this, Fork on a pole. Let's do a fork on a pole match. Who can grab the fork first and jab it into the other guy's forehead? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. We'll have to think about it.
Yeah, a lot of people would like that, bro.
So after the show, after 4.5 hours, and I didn't see any of the pre-show, I was exhausted. And I left going, that show was okay. It was good. You know what? No, it wasn't okay. It was good.
Yep.
It wasn't great, but it was good. And then I get home and I'm reading everybody from Tony Khan, who thinks it's the greatest show that he's ever had in his life, to pundits across saying that this might have been one of their best shows ever. I'm like, did you watch the same thing that I watched? Did you watch the one that didn't have Osprey and Omega and Swerve and MJF and had... This isn't a critical thing as much as it will come off that way, but this was the epitome to me of one of those grab your lunchbox and go to work pay-per-views. Everybody grabbed their boots, their wrestling boots, their hard hats, and said, we're going to work. And it was good. But it was nothing... There was nothing so great that I would be like, oh, you have to go back. I thought the show that we went to in Toronto, All Out, was better.
Mm-hmm.
I think many of their other pay-per-views, which have been really good, like All In was amazing. All out, I thought was really good. Now, maybe seeing it live as opposed to on screen is different, but I thought that this show was good. I think when it comes to ranking of the shows all year, it's not going to be in the top half for me. And reading online, and even Tony Khan saying that it's one of the best shows, he wouldn't change a thing, and it's one of the most proud he's ever been.
Yeah,
like,
one of his favorite events ever.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, he's allowed to feel that way.
Yeah. He did say it's only my subjective personal opinion.
Yeah. Well, if your subjective personal opinion says that the next one and then the next one and the next one are all better,
yeah,
which will happen. So anyway, this is a good show.
Yep.
It was. I think when I got home, I was exhausted and I went to bed. But afterwards, I thought about the difference of like this one to me is the juxtaposition of the WWE. WWE is here's your 3 moments and nothing else on the show will ever even matter a little bit.
Yes. Please pay $500 to watch these 3 moments.
And the AEW show that does have greatness sometimes because of the athletes that are performing. This one was really good and everybody tried really hard and everybody went to work. And it was a really good, as you would call it, professional wrestling show.
Yeah, right.
But it wasn't this elite, you have to go back and watch it or else you'll never understand what AEW is all about. It was not that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, to me, as good as other people have put it. So I would put it at a solid 7.2.
Ooh, a 7.2. Not a 7.25.
No,
a 7.2.
It wasn't 7.25.
All right.
It was 7.25. It's a good show.
Yep. I'm a little higher on it than you are, I think. I'm hovering around like a 7.5 on it. But like what you said,
you're not differing all that
much, yeah,
Zachary.
Yeah, I did say a little higher. You know, I like to go literal here on this show.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, and so yeah, 7.5. I like you. I thought this was a good show. I think there were elements that could have made it a really good show and could have been this elite level show, like I saw some people saying about it. I don't know if this is like a pay-per-view of the year contender, like I see some saying it was. For me, like, there was a lot of great matches on the show, and this is just the standard that they set. It's a good standard to have, and quite frankly, I'm glad there is a standard, period, because of I feel like we're continuing to see this decline in standards from everybody in professional wrestling. I'm including fans in that. So I'm glad that there's a standard where, on these shows, there's at least one match you come out of the way saying, man, that just blew me away. That's a match of the year contender. There wasn't that on this show. There's a lot of really good matches I liked, and stuff that they accomplished on this show that I liked. But in terms of overall quality of the card, there were definitely lulls for me too. And I'm saying this as somebody that was trying to, watch it afterwards and trying to fast forward through stuff. Yeah, there were definitely lulls in this. It was a lengthier show, 4.5 hours. I don't mind the longer shows as long as the quality is there. I think that's the big thing I want to get across to people, because I saw some critiques on that. It's like, oh, it's 4.5 hours. Well, when the show is just wall to wall of just tremendous wrestling and I'm invested all the way through, the length doesn't really matter at that point because I'm getting this quality show on top of it. If we switched it around and it was just all like bad matches for 4.5 hours, then yeah, I'm going to be critical of the length of it being 4.5 hours. So all that to say, I thought this was a good show. Could have been really good. I think there was a lot of this show where it could have been really good, and I could have seen the vision with the others did. And I'm not talking about the WWE stable when it comes to this pay-per-view. But it wasn't there for me. Still thought it was a good show. I enjoyed watching it. There were elements of the show that I liked, and there were things that they did that has me interested in Dynamite. But in terms of an overall quality of the show, I don't think this is a pay-per-view contender either.
Full Gear coming up in November, and we'll see how they get there. So for Zach McGibbon, I'm Lee Versage. Thanks for listening to AEW WrestleDream review here on This Is Wrestling.